Alright guys, our last unit, we are looking at what are called complex figures again. So before, when we did these, for example, we had a rectangle, a two-dimensional shape, and we had to add on a triangle to find the area or perimeter. This time what we're doing is we have two shapes, they're just three-dimensional, and they're asking us to find the volume, how much it can hold total. So for example, let's say you have a box on the bottom and it's holding up a glass vase. It's asking you to find the volume of the whole shape altogether, which means what you're doing is you're taking the cylinder and you are adding the rectangular prism. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a big plus in the middle, and I'm going to do my cylinder work on the left side, my rectangular prism work on the other side, and then I will add them together. So in order to find the volume, or how much each of those can hold, the cylinder is pi r squared h. And just so you guys remember, I can get these formulas from my formula sheet. So pi r squared h. So I am focused on just the cylinder part of my shape right now. So I know that part of the cylinder is 30 centimeters and part of my cylinder is 50 centimeters for now. So I'm going to put in 3.14. Now the radius, if you notice, 30 goes all the way across your cylinder, which is the diameter. So the radius is going to be 15 centimeters. So 15 squared times the height, which is where this 50 centimeters comes in. And I'm going to use my order of operations, so I need to do 15 squared first, which is 225. So I'm going to multiply 3.14 times 225 times 50. So my cylinder can hold a lot. It can hold 35,325 centimeters cubed. But we're not done, so we need to add it to the rectangular prism. So the volume of a rectangular prism is our easiest one so far. Length times width times height. So if you're looking at that shape, the rectangular prism is the box that we have at the bottom. And if I look, the 20, other 50, and 75 are the dimensions of the box that it's holding up the candle. So the length is going to be the 75 centimeters. The width is going to be the 50 centimeters. And the height will be 20 centimeters. So we're going to multiply those three together. 75 times 50 times 20. This can hold 75,000 cubes, and we have to add them. So I'm going to add then the 35,325 for a total of 110,325 centimeter cubes. And again, that means that it can hold, if each little cube was 1 centimeter long, it can hold over 100,000 of those cubes in this figure over here. So I'm going to let you guys do numbers 2 and number 3. So at this time, go ahead and pause the video so that you can take care of those two. And when you're done, go ahead and flip over to the back. And again, if you read the email, the answers to these questions will be embedded in the email for you to go check your work. Alright guys, so hopefully you got the ones on the front correct. So go ahead and flip to the back. Number 4, 5, and 6 are all a little bit different. It says a hole has been cut through this piece of wood. What is the volume? So this is kind of like our brownie question. When we had the, and this isn't going to be perfect, but when we had the pan of brownies, and it had said we wanted the area of the shaded figure, we said, well, we had a pan of brownies and we had to subtract out how much we ate. So this is the same deal. If you look at the outside shape, so the piece of wood is this outside rectangular prism, a hole was drilled through the piece of wood. So maybe you're trying to thread something through, or you're trying to build something. And the inside that we drilled through the piece of wood is a cylinder. So we are going to subtract out the cylinder because it's now no longer there. Okay. Okay, it's kind of like we made a room for a tube to go through whatever project it is we were working on. So again, we're going to use the formula sheets. The only difference between this problem here and the one we did on the front was that instead of adding the cylinder plus the rectangular prism, we're just going to subtract them. So we're using the same formulas, the same process, we just need to subtract since we're getting rid of that shape in the middle. So for the rectangular prism, the volume is length times width times height. So if I look at the rectangular prism, that is going to be the 30 by 30 by 300. So the length is 30, the width is 30, and the height is 300 centimeters. When I multiply those, 30 times 300, I get that that rectangular prism by itself could hold 270,000 centimeters cubed. But I'm not done because I need to do the cylinder. The cylinder is, again, pi r squared h, so 3.14. The radius they've labeled for you at the top, it is 3 centimeters, so 3 squared, times the height. Now if you notice, the piece of tube that we cut through our project is the same height as the rectangular prism, so it will be 300 centimeters tall. Again, order of operations says I need to do 3 squared first, so 3 squared is 9, so 3.14 times 9 times 300 is 8,478 centimeters cubed. And now remember, the difference is we're subtracting them because we're getting rid of that middle piece that we don't need. So the final answer is going to be 270,000 minus 8,478. So hopefully if you did your calculating right, you will be left with 261,522 cubes, which is saying that after we are done cutting out the middle of the shape, this figure, if it was as big as it says it was, 30 centimeters by 30 centimeters by 300, could hold over 260,000 cubes. Alright, so you have an example from the front and the back, so same deal. You have 2 more problems here. Remember that the answers to these problems are embedded in the email that you got the video from, so make sure you show all your work, double check your answers, and then make sure that this sheet gets turned in.